In his new book, How Do We Know Ourselves? Curiosities and Marvels of the Human Mind, social psychologist David Myers is speaking to a general audience in a way non-academics can understand. His short essays explain what we should know about ourselves and the world around us. It tackles the deep stuff in a compelling and positive way.
David is also the author of psychology's most widely read textbook, and he's with us now. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Let's take a look at this first insight, which is you say our expressions and actions are self-revealing. And I kind of interpreted that as, are we supposed to fake it until we make it?
Well, there is some wisdom to that, actually. How do we know ourselves? We know ourselves partly by observing our talk, witnessing our actions. And we have some clever experiments that have induced people to make a frown as electrodes are attached to their head, and then they feel grumpier, or to make a smiling expression by turning up their cheeks or even holding a pencil in their teeth. And they feel happier. They find cartoons funnier. And your listeners can experience this by walking down the hall with head held high, a smile on their face, see how they feel versus slumped shoulders as they slump down the hallway. Our actions affects our moods, and so there is some wisdom to, at least in the short term, faking it and making it. Act as if you'd like to feel, and you might feel that way a little bit more.
I love this next one because I found this to be true. Positive interactions with strangers can make you happier.
Exactly. And, you know, some of that research comes right out of the University of Chicago, where the brilliant social psychologist Nicholas Epley has done wonderful research where, for example, he has invited commuters to participate in an experiment. They're given a $5 gift card to either on their morning commute with others on the train or the bus, act as they normally would, or to sit in solitude, or to strike up a conversation with a fellow passenger. Now, they think this is going to be awkward, but in fact, it turns out to be a pleasant experience, and at the end of it, they exit the commute feeling happier. And others find that if you banter with a barista, if you strike up a conversation with a checkout clerk or the bus driver, you leave them happier and you feel happier too.
I wonder if that's because for a lot of us, our more serious, closer relationships can sometimes be difficult and frustrating. And with a stranger, the bar is pretty low.
That's true, but the effect extends to our relationships too. So Epley and his colleagues find that if you will stretch yourself out of your comfort zone to reach out to a friend, maybe somebody you haven't been in contact with for quite a while, with an email or a text or a phone call, you may think it's going to be awkward, but more than people expect, those small acts of kindness generate a positive response, both in the recipient and in the giver. And I call this the happy science of micro friendships.
Yeah.
All right. And you say we often fear the wrong things, or like plane crashes or what?
Right. One of the really curious quirks of our human mind is our tendency to fear the wrong things. So, for example, most Americans fear flying more than driving, even though statistically, mile per mile, we're 501 times more likely to die in an auto accident than on a flight. So when I'm driving to the Grand Rapids Airport, I'm a little anxious because I believe those numbers. But once I'm in the loving care of Delta Airlines, I can relax. And likewise, when we think about COVID, older people have been much more at risk of dying, but young people have been just as afraid. Or unvaccinated people are more likely to die of COVID, but vaccinated people fear it more. So it's just, there are so many examples of how we fear the wrong things. And so part of my effort is to help people think smarter, as well as savoring the wonders of their lives.
Interesting. And next, others notice us less than we imagine, which I guess is part of our narcissism, right? That we think like everybody's looking at us and remembering everything that we do, but that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, we tend to think about ourselves in terms of how we differ from others. So if researchers ask people to describe themselves, redheads are more likely to describe their hair color. People of a minority race are more likely to describe their race. I've just had a cochlear implant, so my identity as a person with hearing loss is probably pretty salient to me right now. But in fact, often others don't notice the way we differ as much as we may think. And this has been found in some really clever experiments in which, for example, people think they've been given a theatrical scar on their face, but in fact, it's been wiped off before they interact with somebody. But now they're terribly self-conscious about it, and they think the other's treating them differently when in fact they look no different. Or when they're given a dorky sweatshirt to wear and they're feeling very self-conscious as they meet some other people, thinking everybody's noticing, just like we think other people notice our bad hair day. But in fact, in these experiments, most people don't notice, don't pay any attention. So
wow.
I guess it's bad news that other people don't notice us as much as we think, but it's good news too, so we can relax.
Right.
Well, it's very insightful. David, we appreciate you joining us this morning. The book
Thank you
is
so much.
How Do We Know Ourselves? And you can find David Myers on his site and on Twitter. Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much for having me, Larry and Lauren.
Thank you.